putting nesting boxes at our headquarters. So we're just counting just what's, hanging around those boxes during the wintertime. That's 17, that is a combination of the adults and kind of the winter and the young, in July and August. So we have a pretty good population here around the buildings. Barn owl is doing pretty well, but it needs habitat. It needs a barn. It readily takes nesting boxes out on poles and stuff like that. It needs a kind of some place to hide. Historically, it nested in crevices, in cliffs or in old broken trees and stuff. So wherever there's good habitat, we're going to have barn owls. This is a long-eared owl. The long-eared owl is breeds mainly in Canada and in kind of the northwestern mountain states, and it will come down. It's pretty much a resident in those areas. In severe winters, it will come down. There's always a few that come into Kansas almost every year. Most of the times it also goes down into the southeastern United States. So it kind of depends on how severe the weather is. And they also kind of like to roost in really thick evergreens or cedars or stuff like that. We don't have a lot of that habitat here on Cheyenne Bottoms directly. So now what's going on here, I have no idea. This would be before my time, And I would also say that the Christmas bird count has shifted a little bit from what the center of the circle was, and I suspect that at one time and these times, the center was actually the college, and so they were able to probably get down into more river area than our circle does now. So we don't have the habitat for the long-eared owls around here, so we don't see a lot of them. But there are species of concern throughout most of the places where they are found, mainly because they're a bird that likes the deep woods, and people are moving into the deep woods and kind of fragmenting, putting a house there, and it fragments the woodlands, and these birds don't adapt well to that. One of my favorite is the short-eared owl. This guy's breeds up in Canada and Alaska, and there's actually a permanent population right in the northern boundary states. So the birds that come spend the winter down here are actually from Canada. They kind of almost hopscotch over those northern birds. So we get some birds that come down here and spend the winter here in actually most of the United States, but Kansas and the Great Plains particularly. It eats mainly small mice and stuff like that, but it'll take birds on occasion. This is one that we got pretty good information on during the Christmas bird count. And remember I said those northern populations fluctuate quite a bit, and that's what we see here. Some years we don't hardly get any, obviously, during the Christmas bird count, and some years we get real good numbers. They're a species, unfortunately, that particularly in the southern portion of the range, they're on the decline, and that's mainly because of the loss of large tracts of grass and wetlands in which they prefer. Now, everybody probably knows this guy, the great horned owl. Those aren't actually horns. They're not ears. They are. You see, this one doesn't have them up there. Actually, a display mechanism. They can do a lot of things with those little tufts. They're a permanent resident here throughout most of the United States and into Canada. And this guy eats about anything. He's another one that will eat snakes, and, lizards, and small mice, and once in a while chicken. And I gotta tell a story because I know the wife's know I'm going to tell a story. conditions are getting too tough and they're not quite adapted to feeding up there. So they'll come down and they'll spend winters down in the parts of the United States. Christmas bird count doesn't pick them up at all. We know many a times when we've had snowy owls out there, but they just weren't around on the day of the Christmas bird count. But we don't get huge numbers down here. We get one or two, you know, and since they're really keyed into the, gonna get our guest, they're really keyed into the cycles of rabbits and stuff and lemmings, populations. They'll come down here when those populations are low and severe. I can make a really rough guess and say, on the average, between every 3 and 4 years, we'll get some snowy owls that come down into Kansas. I haven't heard of any that are in this year, and last year I think there was only 2 that came, so we're due for a cycle of snowy owls. But due to that, that's right, but due to their remoteness, way up north, we don't know much about their population. This guy's my favorite owl of all. He's a burrowing owl. He nests in the western and central United States, and in the wintertime they'll move down mainly into Central America. They're called burrowing owl because they live in burrows. Now, they don't dig them. They don't have little shovels or anything like that. You know? They have to rely on other animals like skunks, badgers, and particularly prairie dogs. They really like prairie dog towns because there's a lot of burrows to select from, and the prairie dogs keep it down, the grass down nice, and that makes it easy for them. I want to note that during our survey, we were 95 were counted in July of 2006, and those were all on the Nature Conservancy Preserve. Population-wise, wow, this is pretty interesting. They had increased steadily until 1996. This was mainly because this is when the Nature Conservancy, we actually arrived in 1990, I arrived in 96, so this is all the survey had. But the Nature Conservancy was able to keep purchasing some land and adjust our grazing systems to benefit birds. So we've seen an increase in prairie dog towns and an increase in the burrowing owls up until 96. Did anybody remember what happened out here in Cheyenne Bottoms in 97? Remember all that water we had?
2007.
2007. What did I say? 97? 2007. All right, does anybody remember what happened out here in 2007? We had a flood. I think we just had high water because it was natural for Cheyenne Bottoms. So almost, I would say 90% of our prairie dogs on our preserve were underwater for up to, in some cases, up to 6 months, but definitely for a couple months. Wiped out the prairie dogs. As soon as the water receded, you know, I went out into these towns and we can see burrowing owl eggs up on the surface. So the prairie dogs have disappeared, basically. We got a few acres of them, and the burrowing owls dropped right because of that. Now they've come back just a little bit, but we don't have that many acres of prairie dogs. We don't have any recruitment of prairie dogs and so it likes nice areas with a lot of trees, so chances are, great band